Oh yeah, it's getting there, ain't it? I told you, we play no games. We play no games. We're gonna get back to talking about. We're just gonna go right into it because you already know exactly what this is about. And so when we're looking at the periodic table of elements, one of the things that I'm gonna do too, because I want you to, and if I ask you to write things down, please do so, or just commit them to memory because I'll bring it up later on. Maybe I talked about how I was gonna double back. When we isolated the carbon-14 group. And, we mentioned lead. We gave a story about lead, right? The carbon-14 group, we gave a story about lead. Now, what's interesting is that you'll hear, and then, of course, I got to have people who have the God complex. You understand this, and that's why I said that everything in, any groups that are in those families, they react with one another. They'll make bonds with one another, and carbon will do that anyways because carbon is, like we said, is articulated as the king of elements. Once again, that's not what we said, that's what he said. The king of elements. Something that you are made out of, he said, is the king of this template right here. That was his words. You see what I'm saying? So we understand what? That any bonds that carbon makes, no matter what it is. Remember we talked about the bonds that it makes with, with iron in order to make steel. Okay, and when it's in about 2%, when it's at around 2%, it will make, when the structure is, when the product is all said and done, it will be one solid microcrystalline form. But when there is, of course, when you dig up iron, elemental iron that is too, you might have trace minerals or what they call impurities. Because remember, the whole thing about this life, this existence, is to be pure carbon. That's why in their language, they say that when carbon is bonding with, when they're trying to get carbon to bond with specific elements to come about with different compounds, these other elements that may come along with it are considered impurities. Because then what carbon will do, just like in the case of iron, when you're making cast iron and you add more carbon, it will start bonding with those so-called impurities. All right, in crystalline form. All right. And then it will obviously then it will be termed as what is called a heterogeneous alloy, which obviously we know what an alloy is. Heterogeneous means different, so it will form many different microcrystalline structures. Okay, and so that's what they try to prevent. But like we said, look at the uses. We're talking about now chill out for a second. Remember when we looked at that video and there was they were doing an experiment and they were looking at the European skin obviously through UV, and what should have stood out to you was the glasses, right? We know what glass is made out of. It's made out of silica. It's also in the carbon family. So this is what's very interesting because we know what glasses do is reflect or refract light. That's what glasses do. And so they have to block and reflect the radiation in order to see. They can't even consume the radiation via the eyes. They have to put on something mirror because the glasses look black under UV camera. Because it has to be in the carbon family in order to absorb carbon. Okay? So imagine this. Look what the Most High is telling you. They put on glasses that guard their eyes that are seen. Even glasses are seen as black under UV camera. Then they put on suntan lotion, which seen as black under UV camera. Then they put on clothes. Did you know that cotton is 44% carbon? So the clothes that we always thought it was weird the way that they dress down. So they have to put on an artificial skin. They had to put on an artificial skin. This will let you know in the Garden of Eden they weren't talking about us being banished from the garden or green or from carbon. They was banished from carbon because he already told you that plants are 50% carbon. So if you at the dawn of civilization, obviously those trees probably were a different type of carbon. And he was banished, so he had made skins. Think about it, whatever skin you take, you're taking it from an organic animal, because then this animal, is carbon, and they have to put these skins on them to absorb the radiation now, because they had been banned. That's why when Dr. Higgins talked about how he has an excellent lecture called The Forbidden Knowledge, and he had The Forbidden Fruit, and he had talked about how he had seen this illustration. I believe it because he has a ton of credibility, but he didn't have an opportunity to show it. But he said he seen this illustration where there was these, Adam and Eve was white, and they showed the snake as being black, and a lot of people took offense to that because they always characterize the snake as a devil. We already determined in previous videos what did we say? The snake represents the spine, and then therefore we gave him the ability to walk. And obviously also think deeply because we already talked about the areas of the brain associated with those abilities, so we don't need to go any further. But the fact of the matter is that that's what he was talking about. He was banished from something green. Green is carbon because he's already told you that these plants, this green stuff, when it decomposes, it makes black stuff. And then you wonder wonder why he hang you on trees. These are your people. I told you these are cousins. I just say that, porphyrin is the parent compound to hemoglobin and chlorophyll. I showed you that scientifically. That's what he said. He said that you were related. And then how does he also say that? Look up for yourself. Look up. Go right now. Get on the internet and look up, what would help to strengthen my melanin. He's going to give you what? Spinach, peas. He's going to give you green shit. So if we're not related to plants, how is it that plants strengthen our melanin? I'm going to need you niggas to wake up. But the guys and goddesses, you already woke. I'm going to need you to wake up. Why do you think he talks about the tree of life? He's literally telling you how he processes energy, the truth, just by processing how he processes energy. What I wait for is I wait for the trees to decompose. Now, mind you, it's non-renewable. Now, think about this. The stuff that you are made out of, that is power in this matrix, this is why we didn't have all these things. Think about this. We talked about the steel. Steel is used to what? Make his big buildings. Then he reinforces it with concrete. What's in concrete? Concrete is 26% sand. So you got steel, which is a form of carbon, and then you have concrete, which also has carbon in it in the form of silica, and then he's in these buildings. So he has these clothes on. Now we're going to build on this. He has these clothes on which absorb the radiation. He has glasses on which absorb the radiation. He has lotion on his face which absorbs radiation. He's in buildings which absorb the radiation. And then as soon as he takes his clothes off and gets in the sun and dares to show his face to the Most High, he gets burned. I'm going to need you to know what you are. Like now. I don't play around. And see, what you have to understand, put a nail in the coffin. What did we say? Let's bring back something, because I'm just so used to punching this punching bag, and I'm getting my Joe Louis on. So this is what we have to understand when we talk about it. You thought I was making it up when I said you are diamond people, and that, they don't spit these subliminals to you with Rihanna with diamonds in the sky and all of that your son is a diamond. Because like I said, I've already been knocking this out the park, but we're going to go further. We're going to take this science. Did you know, like I said, we look at group 14, which we said is carbon, silica, germanium, tin, and lead, right? Okay, so the thing that you have to understand, when we talked about the DNA, how they never seen the DNA, I told you that the DNA is diamond. That's why they said, in the video we spread the UV rays, that there's nothing we can do, we can't get through it. We can't get to it. And so, the thing is, they were saying that, it has to be enveloped in melanin. And we've already determined this melanin and this carbon, when it comes together, it's a crystal, it's a diamond. Now, how do I know what I'm talking about? Because, like we said, let's talk about DNA. They've never seen what DNA look like, because you can't see what DNA look like because you can't get through the diamond. They've never seen what it looks like, because remember, like we said, carbon only forms bonds through crystal formation. How do we know? What you talking about here, Ruth? Okay, remember we said that the people who were credited for the DNA discovery was James Watson and Francis Crick. Now, they got this photo. It's literally called the UFO photo. They got this photo from a chick named Rosalind Franklin, who specialized in X-ray diffraction crystallography. Now, that sounds all fancy, but they're shooting these. This is how powerful, this is how they're trying to get through. They shoot X-rays. X-rays at it. They shoot X-rays, it's bouncing off, right? And what happens is, you have to understand that the chief term that you want to get out of that is crystallography. She used X-ray crystallography to take the photo. Why is that important, Heru? Because crystallography is the experimental science of seeing how crystals form. Hence, carbon forms in crystal formations called diamond cubic, so that's why they use crystallography to look at your DNA. If you were not crystals, if you were not diamonds, why would they use crystallography to look at DNA? I need you to catch up. I'm telling you, you're not messing with me, bro. Nobody. Grab all of them, put them on. Everything that I'm telling you is his science. Matter of fact, let's go even further. Let's put the nail in the coffin on this. This group that you see that we named, which is called the Carbon 14 group, you know the nickname for it that these Europeans call this group? They call it the Crystallogens. I cannot make this up. This is why when people talk about how when they send that oximeter, when they're taking our oxygen levels and they want to see what our oxygen levels are, how they never get good readings, because the diamonds bounce the light in every different direction. Carbon is what comes out of that so-called electromagnetic spectrum that gets emitted by the sun, right? These cosmic rays that they say then in turn do what? Neutrons react with the N14, then the C14, then the plants and the animals take it up, then you also breathe it. So you're breathing in radiation. Brothers and sisters, what do you think radiation is? It's electricity. Water in its form, when you can see, you say you've never seen electricity, it's water. It's H2O. Once again, you take one of those, and you take 2 oxygen atoms, and now you have water. This is life. Now you have water. Okay? And we know that water is a great conductor of electricity. You know that because they build dams, hydroelectric plants. Ton of energy. Ton of electricity. You run off electricity. If your heart was to stop, what would they do? You think they're gonna put gas in your lungs? No, you just convert. It's electricity. Your heart is the generator. You're constantly breathing in electricity. Therefore, your heart runs off electricity. And if you were to stop breathing, they would do what? They wouldn't pump gas down you. They would get electrical equipment and shock you to send an electrical current to you to get you back in this existence. That's what they do. See, you let them convince you of your science. This same man who can't be out in the sun with his skin calls himself a dermatologist. Derm means skin. Otologist means someone concerned with a particular discipline. So you got somebody who is a skin scientist and can't be out in the sun. But yet we sit up here and we say, yeah, that's a skin scientist right there. Elevated to that godlike status. You see what I'm saying? So that's what you have to understand. All of this is hidden in plain sight. I'm not sitting up here coming to terms that you don't know or they're not even aware of. These, like I said, grab your chemists, grab your professors, and give them an opportunity to listen to this video. Maybe they may come upon some eye-opening revelations themselves too, because then it's how you arrange it. Just like they said, when you arrange information, just like how you arrange atoms in a different way, you get a different, like they call it, compound. But you damn sure get a different perspective or worldview. And because of that, like I said, that's what stands in the way of our people, being liberated. Because we have disallowed ourselves to, see it for what it really is. 1, because it's hidden in plain sight. And 2, because these religions have had such a stronghold on us. Now, I guarantee you, from what I have said, I know that it works. And I know that this is our industries. Because think about it. All his industries is built off of our ignorance of this. Where you work at. I guarantee you, wherever you work at, this has something to do with it. Oh, you make plastics? Carbon. You work at the gas station? Carbon. You sell anything? Carbon. You go to the hospital? Carbon. Everything. Where are you not? Where this is not. So he kept you ignorant. He goes in his labs, reverse engineers your technology, and comes out acting like he's doing something. I told you I would expose his science is fraudulent. And this is why he's always going to act like he doesn't know nothing. I don't know how it started. These are all mysteries. I'm just dumbfounded. Oh, you know what? Like I said before, we got receipts. We're about to show you. Like I said, what did I say that I was going to do? And I took a look at carbon-14. In this family, you're related to one another. And you have something at the bottom, the lowest vibration, one of the lowest vibrations in the carbon group. It's called lead. Now pause. What should jump up at you? We're related in this family. So not only is their matrix running off of it, think about it. Their guns are black, carbon filters, and they state all these different, they use carbon or what we're made out of in a myriad of different ways. And like I said, creating their weapons because it's powering their matrix. The guns are black. And the guns shoot out lead. We absorb the lead because carbon beings absorb lead more than Europeans or so-called Europeans do because it's in our family. Oh, you think I'm lying? Hold on, let me get the receipts. Let me pull up the receipts. And they know that because they study chemistry. Your chemistry or chemical chemet symbols. Chemet symbols. Start saying chemet symbols instead of chemistry. Okay? Now, this is what we're going to do. We're going to bring up the receipts. Give me a second. Should have had this ready already. Nice, I go. Just give me 1 second. Sorry, people. Sorry. You know, hopefully it's well worth the wait. Hopefully your boy dropping that science you like what he's dropping. Alright. Now we're going to start. I always tell you the benchmarks. I think it's 41.55. That's what we're going to start. This is a documentary called The Great Color. Now I came out with a while back. I think in 2015, 16 or something like that. And so hold on. Let me get this correct. Let me get this right. 41.55. Now listen what they say. This is about water. This is about water. Now listen what they say. Because like we said, some people have that God complex. Some people have the God complex.
I was diagnosed with hypothyroidism about 10 years ago. There was no family history in my background that explained why I had this thyroid illness.
What were some of the side effects?
Feeling very cold, hair loss, concentration issues. It really controls your metabolism. So I had gained about 10, 15 pounds, which is very unusual. I was very athletic my whole life and never was overweight. So I gained weight. I was sleeping a lot. Again, your metabolism is tuned down. Doing the research, fluoride is an irritant to your thyroid. Your thyroid wants iodine. And if it doesn't get iodine at the concentrations that it needs, then it gets whatever is closest that you're providing in the environment. If you look at the periodic table, you see that fluoride, chlorine, bromine, and iodine are all in the same column. That means they have very similar electronic structure and reactivity. So that's why your thyroid will uptake fluoride and chlorine when you're not giving it enough iodine.
What did she say? Ain't that what Abel just told you? Didn't I just show you the periodic table of elements? Right? Didn't I just show you the periodic table of elements? Because you got to hear it from the European. What did she say? She showed you that group right there, fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine. They're all in the same group. They're all in the same family. So they know what they're doing when they put fluoride in your water. Do you know like fen and Prozac? Those are all fluoride-based chemicals. They know exactly what